Mercy versus grace. A lot of people really don't know the difference between mercy and grace. Let's hear Scott make the distinction.
Mercy is not getting what you deserve, but grace is getting what you don't deserve. Can you kind of maybe give an example of that?
I'm merciful to you if you steal my radio and I don't beat you up for it. But I'm gracious to you if you steal my radio and I say to you, here, it's yours. When I'm merciful to you, I don't punish you for the wrongdoing. When I'm gracious, I give you the opposite. And you have the younger son in the prodigal son. The father is gracious to him, right? He's gracious to him. He's more than merciful to him. He's gracious to him. If he was merciful to him, he would have simply listened to the son's confession and let him be a servant. The son, as he's eating from the pig trough after spending time with whores and drunkenness, concocts the idea that he can come back to his father, and that if he gets the right confession right for his father, that the father will be merciful to him and will not punish him and will allow him to be a servant. But yet, while the son was still on his way walking home, a long way off, in my mind, the picture of the father has been waiting for him the whole time. In fact, the theologian whose work I used to write this is Helmut Tillich. His book is called The Waiting Father, because the idea is that the father is always on the balcony with his eyes cupped over his hand to shield from the sun, looking down the road, waiting for our return. And when the son comes home and tries to give him his concocted confession so that the father will be merciful, the father has nothing to do with his confession. It's at this point not even needed, because the father has already been merciful. He's already forgiven him in his heart. He's already not going to punish him. And he takes the next step and he's gracious. He throws the robe on him so that passersby will know that he is part of the house and not a servant. He puts the ring on his finger. The significance of that in the ancient world is that was most likely meant to signify a signet ring, which is the way that legal documents were signed in the ancient world, which would mean that that son was free to make financial decisions for that house again. That's the last thing he deserved. He didn't deserve that at all. He ruined that house in his decision to break the resources of the home in half and take half of them. The father puts shoes on his feet, signifying to everybody that came into that house that that was not a servant, that was a son. And he throws him a feast. The last thing he deserved is a party. He killed the fattened calf. The fattened calf, the most expensive item they had, is killed so that a party can be had. That's graciousness. Mercy is when God doesn't punish us. Grace is when he gives us what we don't deserve, which is his love and his kindness and his forgiveness, and makes us his children again, which is exactly what the story of the prodigal son tells us.
So mercy is not getting what you deserve. Grace is getting what you don't deserve. As dads, we always have to be merciful. But how often are you graceful? That's why grace is scandalous.
The scandal of graciousness from fathers to their own children is what in theology we call the scandalon of the gospel. That is, the fact that when we talk about what's been given to us on account of Christ that we did not deserve, it's a scandal. It's scandalous. Now, if fathers are to be pictures in the home of that, sometimes a little scandal might be necessary. This is not easy stuff we're talking about here. This will not always sit you in good stead with the people around you, but it's important. We're talking about how our children view the possibilities in the world of there being something that's too good to be true, something unearned, something truly gracious, something truly kind that we can later point, and throughout their lives really point to a God who is that too. Here's one of the things I see all the time. Dad's at work all day, usually with me at the university, comes home, and something was promised for that day. Let's say that if the kids were good, they were all going to get to go out to dinner or get to go out to a movie or something. And he gets home and mom says, they were just awful today. They were just awful today. I don't know what to do about it. Mercy, I think, would be for the dad to come and say, well, let's go ahead and just make dinner and forgive him and try to have a good night and put him to bed. Graciousness is when the dad sits him down and says, you were awful for your mom today. That's not the way that your mom or I desire for you to act. It's not respectful of her. It's not respectful of me, and it's not respectful of you. But I'm going to tell you something. You're forgiven. And even though going to the movie tonight was supposed to be based on your behavior today, we've decided that we're going to be gracious towards you, and we're still going to go see the movie. You're forgiven. As I see it time after time, where Dad gets home and he says, "That's it, we're not going to the movie." And I think to myself, what are we saying there? We're saying that how many things in our lives as adults do we live where if we do one thing wrong, or we don't have a good day at work, or we didn't get as many things done at work as we were supposed to, that whatever benefit we were going to give ourselves that night is withdrawn from us, right? That we take it away from ourselves. Yet we're often willing to take it away from our kids and then take them to church on Sunday and try to tell them that God daily gives us things that we don't deserve, and that this is something that's a good thing. There's no correlation there.
I know I've spent a lot of time on this, but I really want to get this down as far as punishment goes. You have to be a graceful dad. There's going to be times when you need to show grace. I don't think anybody always wants to be the policeman. We need to have rules and boundaries in the home, but make sure that you have grace too.